Siblings of narcissists, psychopaths or sociopaths, what's your experience? Older brother. Highly narcissistic. Same with my mother. Verbally cruel and manipulative and always project blame onto others, never acknowledging their own behavior. I do not speak with either over them. My brother for over 5 years and my mother for over a year. You feel your life isn't your own. Everything will revolve around them. Constantly causing drama and trouble. Sister who would steal from you. Never-ending drama. Tried to steal my boyfriend repeatedly. Actually broke into one sister's house and robbed her. Can't tell the truth ever. Disowned her about 10 years ago after her awful treatment of terminally ill mother. Peace since then. I want to have nothing to do with him and his family. My parents can't cut ties with him and it breaks my heart how he treats them. They're insane. And always mad about something petty. Somehow everything is related to their projected social image, regardless of context or content. Brother was doted on as a child because he was gifted at basketball. Literally had no consequences growing up and could do whatever he wanted. Treated me and our parents like absolute crap and they still doted on him, while I would get the belt for the most benign and asinine stuff. My brother's life is absolute crap right now. He has no sense of self-worth and just gets handouts from my parents. He is in his late 30s and my parents are giving him money for rent and food. He wants everyone to feel sorry for him and expects everything to be handed to him. He can't do anything on his own and guilt trips and manipulates my parents into doing whatever it is he needs doing for him or just giving him extra funds. He has no incentive to change and is content playing video games all day while my parents just enable his lifestyle. At holidays he just talks down to me and tries to make me feel bad about how difficult his life is. I could care less about him and have no desire to talk to him until he makes some serious changes in his lifestyle and life choices. My sibling is not a sociopath or psychopath, but is narcissistic with extreme anger issues. He would intentionally start arguments. Slightest response from me would be his excuse to go mental. Worst was once when he choked me after I tried to defend myself. Only stopped because I threatened to call the cops. Later my dad sided with him, saying I shouldn't have made my brother angry, and that if I did call the cops, they'd laugh at me and would do nothing. That's idiotic. Obviously. Bear in mind my brother was 6'1" and athletic, while I was a skinny 5'4" teenager that was 5 years younger. I'm now an adult and in the military, and don't plan on talking to either of them much after I leave. Needless to say, if he ever tries something like that again, he'll be lucky if he isn't hospitalized. Count on it. My dad is a sociopath. He raised me. It's very difficult having basic friendships, relationships, holding a job. The way I was raised is extremely unconventional, leading me to not react to normal situations as a typical person would. I hope username doesn't check out. Oh God, where do I begin? She fed my hamster to our cat because I wouldn't let her name it. She woke me up when I was sleeping in my mom's bed by punching me and then proceeded to break my index finger with the door when I fought back, just because she wants to sleep there that night. She also poured bleach over my clothes because she was mad that I was doing laundry when she needed to. Honestly, there's a whole lot more, but those are some of the major stuff. She called the cops and CPS, repeatedly accusing our stepdad of child abuse. It usually lined up with her having rules and punishments. She didn't like that my parents did research on how to raise a psychopath that doesn't become a murderer. They suddenly knew all her tricks and tactics. I sometimes think about how sad it must be to be physically incapable of feeling human emotions, but it clearly would only hold her back. Her diagnosis was emerging antisocial personality disorder because they said they couldn't diagnose someone under 25 as a psychopath. Dad acts really similar, so I assume whatever she has, he has that too. I lost almost all of my friends, my family, besides my immediate. Totally ignore me because me and my mum protected my stepdad by saying my sister was lying about the abuse. Just to be clear, we were investigated multiple times and CPS said they were doing a phenomenal job raising so many kids with so many mental health issues so well. They put down that they were false claims the first 2 times and after that they were like, we just have to investigate to be sure. Just do the interviews and get it done. We have to do it every time, which I do appreciate the diligence if a child is really being abused. But we had stuff from therapists and counselors that were all like, has a history of lying, tells lies to get what she wants, and my entire family still thinks we're protecting a monster. The real kicker is that our biological father is also a psychopath and actually a child abuser. Guess who she moved in with when my aunts refused to let her go back to my mum's? If you guessed, our actually abusive dad, who was now basically giving her Psychopath 101 courses just by being near each other. Then you're right. All our family who banded together in a fickle justice brigade about child abuse are now BFFs with the guy who used to threaten to break my legs and choke me and hit me when I was 7 or younger. I'm sure it makes my mom feel great too, knowing that all her sisters took her abuser's side after a lengthy divorce battle that he kept coming back with more and more affidavits for and just drained her emotionally and financially for years on end. I could write a book about how much they've all hurt me by being or enabling a psychopath. I'm pretty certain that at least some of my aunts are narcissistic. Last week my grandma went on a tirade about me not forgiving, but no one has ever apologized or even acknowledged that they did anything wrong. I won't rug sweep something that still hurts me regularly, and apparently that makes me that problem again. Lived an entire lifetime not being aware that it isn't normal to run to your bedroom and hide when dad gets home. That it isn't normal to be scared of your parents' reactions to, well, anything. Becoming a mom and having little kids that I just looked at and knew I could never beat them up for picking a flower, or shame them for not knowing how to hang a shelf, or throw grubs at them if they come outside, or throw potato salad at them if they say they don't want any. Yeah, it wasn't normal, and only just now am I realizing all of that. It's always difficult to share my problems with them because they also had that same problem at some stage of their life, and it was much harder for them than that is for me apparently. I'm not even totally sure of my older brother's diagnosis, but several years ago I found out through his journal that he had an elaborate plan to murder me and had apparently attempted to before, but couldn't go through with it. His reasoning was mostly because I was mean to him as a child. But really he was the one cruel to me. The part that really messes me up is that both my parents knew about his wish to kill me and never said anything to me. Let us sleep under the same roof. They always coddled and treated him differently than me. He is severely mentally ill, likely a psychopath. Has been in a mental hospital now for several years. I cut contact with my parents as soon as I moved out. My dad is as much of a narcissist as it gets. I didn't realize that it was abnormal until I moved out of the house and out of state. When I finally came back, I remember him calling me one day to tell me to give him $10 because he claimed he need to grab something to eat. Sorry, but I don't have $10 to give you. You don't have $10 to give your dad. Come on, I'll pay you right back. I just need it to go down to the store so I can eat. I don't have it, so you'll have to put on your big boy pants and make some money for yourself. Well, I was gonna ask your sister, but I don't wanna ask her because she's my daughter. Yeah, no. I hung up after that. A few minutes later he calls me and says, hey, your sister just sent me the $10. See, it wasn't that hard. A couple months later I heard that he was still asking my sister for money, and then on my sister and my brother-in-law's anniversary he called and basically blew her up over the phone when she said no, to the point where she was crying on that day of all days, and then he finally said, so you're just gonna let your dad freeze to death outside tonight? My brother-in-law told him not to ever call them again, and I haven't heard from him since. He honestly thinks he is super popular and a good person, but he isn't. I blocked his number and want nothing to do with him anymore. Back to the question though. It's really weird because you end up growing to either be just like them or completely the opposite. I've had to grow up on my own and not be able to have a father figure to show me how to be a man and make smart decisions, or how to be a leader of a household. These are things that I think many people take for granted and don't fully realize how great they have it by having both parents in the house and have them not be completely focused on themselves. I always envy the people that still get to live with their parents into their 20s. I moved out when I was 18 and I'm almost 30 now, and I wish every day that I had the ability to still live at home and not have to worry about rent, utilities, car payments, insurance, gas, phone, internet, etc. Growing up, she had total control of my life. She criticized what I wore, listened to, ate, everything. If I was different, I was weird. If I liked what she liked, then I was copying her. She tried to scare me multiple times with guns and knives, claiming she never would actually hurt me, but she would hold up a samurai sword to my throat and tell me if I moved I died. Eventually she had a kid when she was 19 and I was 16. And for a year she was a good mother and then decided she didn't want to be a mom anymore. I've seen her ruin countless people's lives, spanning from just stringing them along to drowning their bank accounts to contributing to them being put in jail for domestic abuse. She's still waiting for trial on her charge. I despise her and she is not family to me. I had so many issues growing up that only stemmed from things she did to me, and I don't want to see my niece grow up like that. My parents are doing a wonderful job of raising her, but she doesn't understand why mommy isn't there, and it breaks my heart. I haven't spoke to my brother in 3 to 4 years. Last time I did, he went after my wife, and that was the last straw for me. Since then, my parents have cut him off. He lost his job, and his life has spiraled. Not sure what he is up to now, but my quality of life has improved with him not in it. Not a blood sibling, but my cousin I grew up in the same house with. We considered each other brother and sister. He committed suicide in 2016, and it wasn't until then I realized how f***ed up he was. He was abusive to the family pets, throwing them across the room, constantly said how he's going to end up in prison for killing someone, and made comments about how rape isn't rape if the woman isn't screaming and fighting back. When I was 6 to 9, he'd throw me into doors and tackle me to the ground, choking me. Memories of that are far and few due to the gaslighting from the rest of my family. There are probably some narcissists commenting under this post pretending to be the sibling.